Stadium. It's the Seattle Seahawks versus the Denver Broncos. Brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By IBM. And by Allstate. For home, auto, and life insurance, you're in good hands with Allstate.
A summer-like Sunday in Colorado. It's in the 80s in the Mile High City as two of the NFL's best offer us an early assessment. Strengthen Seattle and Super Bowl finalist Denver before 76,000 football-mad fans. Another sellout, 130th in a row here in Denver. Last year in the AFC, it came down to the final game. Denver had gone on to qualify for the playoffs, would get to the Super Bowl, but in second place, the Seattle Seahawks actually were better than 8-8. They were 10-6. They won their last 5 and beat Denver 41-16. It's orange on orange, as Chuck Knox said. How high can you get this first game? He said, we're ready. And Dan Reeves with the same answer. The Broncos will get the ball first. We welcome you aboard. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen. 1987 begins in Denver. Ricky Nattiel can't feel that one as Norm Johnson roots it right out of the end zone. 20-yard line for the Denver Broncos, and here comes John Elway, the $12 million quarterback for the Broncos. Gerald Wilhite for Sammy Winder will start in the backfield with Gene Lang. The speedsters Jackson and Johnson on the outside with Clarence Kay, the tight end. The offensive line of Studdard, Bishop, Bryan, Ayers, the former San Francisco 49er, and Ken Lanier. Elway, when last we saw him in the AFC Championship game on NBC, completed the first in 98 to beat ultimately the Cleveland Browns in overtime. He comes out throwing, flanker screen, Vance Johnson. And he's knocked out of bounds after a first down at the 33-yard line. Melvin Jenkins with a tackle, 13 yards on the play. The white jerseyed Seahawks read this way defensively. Jacob Green, a Pro Bowler last year. Joe Nash on the nose and Jeff Bryant. The linebackers, Bruce Schultz, Fred Young, a legend in his own mind already, Brian Bosworth wearing number 55 and Greg Gaines 56. Terry Taylor, Melvin Jenkins for the injured Patrick Hunter. Easley is back, a great player, and Eugene Robinson at safety. First down at the 33. Off the baseball field, the Denver Zephyrs just completing their playoff action. Short yardage into the thick of that Seattle defense, and Merlin Olsen, the linebackers, a story for both these teams.
We have 7 rookie linebackers in this game, 4 for Seattle. Now, it will take a while for Tom Catlin to assimilate these young men into the lineup, but they are all physical players, and 3 of the 4 have great speed.
Elway looking right into the eyes of the Boz. Brian Bosworth inside, playing right beyond the nose. Second and 8. Incomplete. Through the hands of Vance Johnson. And Bosworth coming back to help out, trips and falls. That brings a cheer from these Denver fans. Bill Bryan and Jacob Green, a little conversation.
Let's watch the Boz in action. It takes an unusual player to draw this amount of applause for falling on your back.
We welcome you to Denver, Colorado. Those of you that saw the Patriots defeat the Dolphins 28-21. We're just underway. 1 minute gone. Broncos with the opening kickoff have 1 first down and are at 3rd and 8 as Elway calls timeout. So the wrong alignment, and he looks over at Orson Mobley, one of the tight ends. No score. The Broncos with the football at their own 35-yard line, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to the beginning of our NBC coverage of NFL 87. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen. And I'm going to start with a compliment. Chuck Knox yesterday, we were talking about his team and Steve Largent, his great wide receiver, and he said he's only had 2 players in his 15 years of coaching that never had a bad practice day. Merlin Olsen and Steve Largent. And
now they can only play on the field. Now,
he never said that to you when you were negotiating.
No, he did not when we were negotiating contracts, but it was nice to hear that. Dick, this is a special time of the year for us. We're kicking off a season, but One of the things that I remembered as I sat and talked to these players and coaches was what it felt like to start the season as a player. It's a special time. Everybody is thinking, we've got a shot at the playoffs, even the lowliest teams.
That's right.
But right now, there's a sad cloud hanging over that season, the possibility of a strike. That's like waking up on a beautiful morning and seeing those black clouds rolling in over their eyes.
In fact, they had the solidarity handshake, and the fans here in Denver, it was a solid boo that accompanied that move by the two teams.
Well, I think none of us who are really fond of this game want to see a strike. We know what happened last time. These players here are not eager to see that. Let's hope it doesn't happen.
Now let's talk about the importance of winning the first game. I mean, it's obvious you want to start off on the right foot, but it's more than that.
This game is even more important because here are two divisional rivals. In fact, the two top-rated teams in the division. It's like playing two games in one. You not only can walk out of here with a W in your column, but you have put an L in their column, and they're going to have to overcome it.
Well, Brian Bosworth, just as you were joining us, went down on a block from Bill Bryan. You saw he had 44 taped on his ankles, his old college number with the Oklahoma Sooners. He's taken 55. Michael Jackson, who retired at linebacker, now with NBC as a commentator. Third down play, 8 to go. Deflected, could be intercepted. Easley has it for Seattle at the 47-yard line of the Seahawks. So Elway's pass deflected at the line of scrimmage, and Easley, who was out last year with an injury, comes up with the intercept.
Easley, one of the most dominant defensive players in the NFL. And that's the kind of play he'll give you. He reads this well. And the thing to watch for is Easley's timing of his jump. Watch him as he stays down until the last possible second and goes as high as he can, like a baseball or basketball player going for the rebound.
Dave Craig with Largent in motion. Kurt Warner cutting inside, spins for about 5 to the Denver 48-yard line. Let's look at the Seahawk offensive set. Craig, the quarterback. Warner, who had another big season last year for the Hawks. John L. Williams, a fine compliment, an excellent blocker. Largent, well, he's on his way to the Hall of Fame. Darrell Turner, the touchdown maker, and Mike Tice is the tight end. Offensive line is big. Mattis, Bailey, Bush, Millard, and Wilson. They average about 280. Second and 6. Warner again. Shy of the first down by 2 is Ricky Hundley, number 98, and Andre Townsend, 61, collaborated on the stop. Here are the men in orange, and oh, it is orange on orange here at Miles High Stadium today. Freddie Gilbert, he really became a very big player for the Broncos last year out of the USFL. Andre Townsend, Rulon Jones, an All-Pro. Simon Fletcher moves to linebacker. Ryan inside, Hundley and Mecklenburg. Defensive backs Haynes and Harden at the corner. Smith and Lilly at safety. Out of the shotgun, 3rd and 2. Looking for Largent. He's wide open at the 40, 35, and down at the 33. And Largent catching a pass in the 140th consecutive game, an all-time NFL mark, picks up 11 and a first down.
I talked to Steve Largent. He said, you know, this is the first time we've ever played the Broncos when Louis Wright and I weren't matched up. Wright, of course, retiring. Well, he picks up right where he left off. Great season last year, his first catch of the regular season, and a first down.
And Rosie Open, testimony again to his adroit ability to be able to turn those defensive backs inside out. Going for it all to Turner. Just misses at the 2-yard line. Mark Haynes on the coverage. From Denver, no score early. Let's check on other results to NFL Live. Warner. Flag goes down after Warner, a hard-earned 3 or 4 yards. And let's check on the scores. Some of those early games now complete as New England beats Miami. Pittsburgh working on an upset of the 49ers at home, and the Jets trying to start off with a win, 10 up on Buffalo. Philadelphia, Washington, the Skins by 10. New Orleans leads by a touchdown in the 4th against the Browns, and Dallas with a slender advantage at St. Louis. 2013 Kansas City against the Chargers late. the Rams leading 16-3, and Houston has rallied to take a 1-point advantage, in Cincinnati a winner by 2. Tampa Bay, oh my, by 38. Minnesota a winner, and Raiders Green Bay no score, as is the case here in Denver.
A face mask call here has given the Seahawks a first down on the 22-yard line.
Just 4 minutes gone, opening quarter. John L. Williams, the big fullback. Nothing there. Simon Fletcher. Dennis Smith up from the secondary to tackle John L. Williams from Florida, #1 pick of the Seahawks last year. And he chipped in, complimenting Warner with over 500 yards rushing. They were the best 1-2 rushing combination in the AFC.
Chuck Knox is an old offensive line coach, and he said, I want my linemen to be big and broad, about 2 axe handles across a piece, and he worked hard to put that line together. He finally has that big line, and he has his runners up in behind them to start powering some yardage here early.
Open Turner, touchdown, Darrell Turner, and the Seahawks strike first. Perfect toss by Dave Craig to find Darrell Turner, who has such an incredible percentage of touchdown plays in his catches. He's caught 30 touchdowns his last 3 years, and he opens in the first quarter with 1 here in Denver. 20 yards on the play. The extra point try by Norm Johnson. Jeff Kemp to hold. New backup quarterback to Craig. With 10 minutes and 24 seconds remaining in the opening quarter, and the Seahawks an easily interception, and then a drive by Dave Craig that leads to a 20-yard touchdown pass to Darrell Turner. Here it is again.
Turner streaking in from the right-hand side. Watch how perfectly this is thrown between defenders. There's just a window there, and Craig lays that ball in gently. Mark Haynes beaten in his coverage. The safety simply couldn't get there to help. And Seattle is off to a 7-0 lead.
Every 3 catches approximately in the last 3 years, Turner has come up with 6 points. $53 yards on the drive in 3.5 minutes for the Seattle score. It took them 7 plays.
Seahawks obviously trying to exploit some running weaknesses in that Denver defense. That's something that Dan Reeves had hoped to strengthen by moving some people around defensively.
Lang and Natil drop back as Johnson will kick it off for Seattle. Natil, the brilliant rookie, is on the near side, number 84. Natil won't get a chance again as
That's
Johnson.
a field goal almost.
Kicked that one completely out of the end zone. We'd like to welcome those of you who have seen the Kansas City Chiefs start off with a win, 20-13, and the fans in Kansas City, of course, will be interested in this game because the Chiefs play in Seattle next Sunday. The Hawks have just scored on a 20-yard throw from Craig to Darrell Turner after a Kenny Easley interception of a deflected pass. John Elway's pass knocked into the air at the line of scrimmage. Brian Bosworth and the Hawk defense watches Denver set up at the 20. Play action to Lang. Plenty of time for Elway. Ooh. Bosworth and Elway. Boy, that's an expensive collision. That's a $23 million collision between Bosworth, $11 million, and Elworth, who just signed for $12.7 million.
When Elway sprints to the outside, you've got to have someone with speed to track with him. Bosworth has that speed. He can run a 4.5. He gets there, and Elway thought he was going to make it out of bounds. Well, he did, but with a little help from the Boss.
And he's already a full hero up in the Northwest.
He's not a hero, however.
That was a solid tackle. Elway, a painful 3-yard gain on the play. Wilhite toppled by Terry Taylor at the 28. Bosworth, of course, #1 pick in the supplemental draft, 6'2" and 248 pounds.
He got himself in some trouble, Dick, up here by quoting this in the papers. I won't pull off Elway even if it costs us 15 yards. And it's a little unfair to Boz. It was pulled out of a complete quote where he was saying, hey, it's my job to get to the quarterback, and I've got to do what I can to help my team win. That's the same thing that Elway would do. But they really rallied around that, and they burned him in effigy up here. They've done a lot of things. They're angry already at him.
Well, Chuck Knox didn't like the comment either. He says that's not the way we play. Oh, a great fake, and Elway going downfield to Sewell. Sewell will score a touchdown. Taylor and Eugene Robinson covering Sewell. He stole the ball away from the Seattle defense. A 72-yard Denver score, and they love it here in the Mile High City. You might go all season long and not get one for 72 yards. Carlos trying to tie it. Kubiak to hold. And we're even at 7-all.
This is what gives coaches gray hairs. You can't cover a receiver any better than the Seahawks covered Sewell. Even though the fake is here, it's a little fake into the line. It's well done. It deceives the linemen and the linebackers. Elway has time, but look at the coverage. Terry Taylor and Eugene Robinson right on top of Sewell. It doesn't matter. He strips it away from Terry Taylor, and the two defenders collide. Sewell ends up in the end zone.
Taylor actually blocked his teammate away from the play as he tried to make the tackle. Elway liked it, you bet.
A play last year in that critical win here where a defender and a Bronco receiver up, and the Bronco receiver stole a touchdown in that game as well. So it's 2 years here in Bronco Stadium, Mile High Stadium, that they've had that kind of play to put 7 on the board.
So we played less than 6 minutes and already a couple of touchdowns. 20 yards, Dave Craig to Darrell Turner for Seattle, and Elway answers with a 72-yard connection with Steve Sewell. 3 plays, a minute and 10 seconds. Bobby Joe Edmonds, number 30. And he's out to the 28-yard line. Edmonds, who played at Arkansas and was a fine return man all season as a rookie last year with Seattle.
Made the Pro Bowl as a returner last year and ripped off a 91-yard touchdown against the San Francisco 49ers in the preseason. He is a dangerous return man, as is Ricky Nattiel for the Broncos. 2 of the very finest, I think, in the league right here today.
Carl Mecklenburg and the Denver defense watches Seattle start at the 29. Turner left, Largent right. Delay to Warner, plenty of running room, and Warner with a flag down is out to the 45-yard line. A gain of about 16, but it's going to be against Seattle. Holding.
One of the things you want to do against a defense that responds quickly is give them some misdirection. Watch Warner run to his left and then come back to his right. A misdirection play aimed at getting the defense to respond to the left-hand side offensively and then cut back to the opposite direction. A good block here by the tackle Mattis to get him outside, and you can see the quickness of Kurt Warner.
65, Edwin Bailey, the left guard, had his hands wrapped up in an orange jersey, cost Denver a the gain, and puts them back at the 19-yard line. Instead of a first down near midfield, it's first and 20 back at the 19. Well, welcome those of you who've seen New Orleans, Cleveland. This is Kurt Warner. Little flare pass, and he's knocked out of bounds at the 38-yard line. The Saints open this new season with a rare victory for New Orleans on opening day, and I know they're celebrating on Bourbon Street already. 28-21 over a fine Cleveland team. Warner picking up the yardage lost on the penalty for holding plus as he goes out to the 38-yard line, where it will be second and short. We're 7-all. This is Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen, Dave Craig, and Darrell Turner. 20 yards for a 7-0 lead for Seattle. Elway hit Steve Sewell, took the ball away from two Seattle defenders, and a 72-yard touchdown to tie it at 7-all. 8:26 left, first quarter. Has a first down to the 44-yard line. Warner, who had a big day against Denver, 192 yards. Final game last year. As you see the other finals, winners are New England, Pittsburgh, the Jets, the Redskins, New Orleans, St. Louis trying to start with a win against Dallas. The Chiefs have won. Houston upsets the Rams. Raiders, Green Bay tied at 7 in the first. As we are here at Mile High Stadium before 76,000. Out of bounds, and that tackle sustained a bit long, 4 yards on the play. Lilly, number 22, in the safety for Denver with a hit.
After a very depressing Super Bowl performance against the New York Giants, there was a lot of thinking going on here. They wanted to structure this Bronco defense to give them more power. And to do that, they've moved a lot of people around. Those listed in white, Ricky Hundley, Dennis Smith, and Mike Harden, are the only Broncos in the same positions they played last year. There are new starters there marked with red. All the rest of those players have moved from one position to another. So a lot of changes on this defense.
The primary theme there is Dan Reeves wanted a more physical defense.
Ooh, what a punch.
Walker into the open. What a marvelous play. And he's still on his feet to the 25-yard line. Kurt Warner, the all-pro, threading his way through the Denver secondary.
One of the things that separates Kurt Warner from other backs is his amazing ability to cut. Now, that is not good. Warner is still on the ground, and they'll be concerned about him as they get them out. The doctor's out quickly.
And he took a lot, not only from the Denver defense, but his blockers coming down to try to help out. He was right in the middle of a mass collision. 28 yards on the play. Let's see how he might have been hurt, Merlin.
Let's check and see what happened. But what a marvelous run by Warner. Right at the end of the play, he's standing up, hit in the back by Jim Ryan. Of course, a very legal tackle as Ryan is pursuing the play. Mecklenburg, 77 there. Townsend, they both missed. He has that ability. Look at that quick leg movement as he breaks free. That's Mike Harden, who actually has him there. Tony Lilly, 22. Ryan, and I believe it was his own man, Brian Millard, 71, who stepped on his leg.
Welcome to Denver, those of you who have just seen the Jets and the Buffalo Bills, and the Jets prevail 31-28. Here we're tied at 7-all, the Seahawks and the Broncos, and Seattle on a 28-yard run by Kurt Warner has moved to the Denver 26-yard line, but Warner was injured on the play, and so while they attend to the great running star of the Seahawks, we pause for this word.
And John L. Williams both start to the left and come back to the right, and let's turn them loose. Watch the cut that Kurt Warner will make to break back to his left. Right there, just almost fell down, and then another quick cut there to break into the open. He has such great vision, Dick, a sense of feeling the opening and then being able to explode to it.
Now that statistic is going to alarm Dan Reeves, the head coach of the Broncos. He said the number one feeling he had coming into this, he has to stop the Seattle running game. They have not. The Broncos have not here in the first quarter. 48 of those yards belong to Warner.
Well, and they talked to at the end of last season about, their priorities. Right at the top of that, strengthening run defense, strengthening their own running game. So a lot of what they wanted to do centered around the run, not only on defense, but also on offense.
7-all the score. 7 minutes left, first quarter. First down, just outside the 25. Randall Morris, who was replaced. Oh, what a hit on Morris. As he goes in for Warner, and Dennis Smith, number 49, rattles his cage. Oh, my.
Coaches were concerned about Dennis Smith coming into this game. He has a cast on his left hand, broke the ring finger on his left hand, is playing with a cast on it. They said, it's not easy to come up and hit when you got a cast on that hand. Well, Dennis Smith hits with the shoulder and the helmet, not with the hand, but watch Randall Morris just be rejected. Randall calls himself Randall too hard to handle. Not on that play.
He gained 4 hard yards, but held on to the football. Craig over the middle. There'll be a flag as Largent, the intended receiver, and Mike Harden was riding him down. Largent, by the way, for those of you who have joined us late and wondering whether his streak is alive, yes, he has caught a pass for 11 yards. It's now 140 straight games. No, they're calling it against Largent, apparently.
I believe they're going to call it offensive interference, and I believe it will go against Largent. Little contact with Mike Harden as he headed downfield. Harden, who is the defensive captain, will also be able to decide whether he wants the penalty or not, and you better believe he'll take it.
Still trying to decide as Harden looks to the sidelines, and the coaching staff flew.
Interference, number 86 on the offense.
Oh, so it's not Largent.
It's still down.
Mike Tice, the tight end, downfield.
There's Tice. Well, I tell you, that's a wrap-up.
And that penalty went against Tice. Look at him. No wonder he's saying, what did I do?
Ricky Hudley said, hey, can the guy wrap his arms around me? There definitely was contact. That's one of those where an official obviously had an angle that told him that it was Tice, and it may not have been Tice at all.
So 3rd down and 6. Over the middle, wide open, and Butler can't handle it at the 15-yard line. A flag goes down, and there was after the ball was dropped, it appeared that Robbins threw an elbow at Butler.
And a second flag dropped over there by another official.
And that could be such a costly penalty. Denver had stopped Seattle. The pass incomplete would have forced at least a long field goal attempt. And after the play, the flags dropped. An aggressive move by Robbins, or it could have been someone else near. But it appeared that Robbins, as he went by Butler, there's the personal foul.
After the ball hit the ground, number 48 of the defense.
It was on Randy Robbins. Watch it here. Butler has turned around. There's no reason for that. There's no reason for that.
What a costly penalty. That allows Seattle to continue the drive. Penalty down to the 10-yard line.
Anytime you take that elbow to the head and shoulders of the opposing team and an official is around, he's going to throw that yellow flag.
Well, Butler was totally unprotected. The play was over. That was a proper call. Flag down. Williams was in motion. Craig gets out of bounds at the 9-yard line. John L. Williams was running toward the line of scrimmage, and it could be all the noise down at that closed end of the stadium, and Williams didn't hear the count. That'll be 5 against Seattle. Our 10-minute ticker, one of the additions to NBC Sports NFL coverage last year. And for you around the country, it's nice to be caught up on all the scores. Some surprises today. Houston and the Steelers of the AFC, with 2 of those beating top NFC teams.
2 men moving at the snap by the offense. Still first down.
John L. Williams was one of the 2.
John L. obviously did not get the stat. As you could see, one man moving, a second man in motion will give you the automatic penalty. And of course that puts them out just outside the 15-yard line. And these are the toughest yards in football. Going in, there's not much room to work, especially against a defense that can be primed for those short yardage situations.
Warner back in there. Gains 3 on 4. Jim Ryan, number 50, one of the many Broncos that have changed the position from outside linebacker to inside, made the tackle. Mass substitution for Denver.
In the middle of that huddle, at least in the middle of your screen, number 77, Carl Mecklenburg. And of course, last year we tracked him in as many as 7 positions up and down the line of scrimmage. He'll move around some today, but mostly he will play that weak outside the linebacking position.
4 wide receivers for Seattle on second and long. Andre Townsend in the midst of matters at the 10-yard line.
Almost a quarterback draw, a design play by Dave Craig. And if he hadn't run into his own man here, Rulon Jones pinches, pushes the tackle inside. If he's able to pop there, he's got about 15 yards of clear sailing down the field. The Broncos all in man-to-man. It would have been tough to stop him until he got down to about the 5.
2-yard gain, 3rd and 10. They like to go to Largent in this situation. It's Warner, wide open, touchdown. So Largent cleared out, and Warner slipping through the line. He had lined up with Craig in the backfield and wide open in the center of the end zone.
It is very apparent that with all the changes in that Denver defense, things are not functioning smoothly. And Dave Craig and that Seattle offense taking quick advantage of it with 2 quick touchdown passes. And I'm sure they're thrilled on that sideline to see Dave Craig off to a good start. He's had 2 very bad games here the last 2 years in this stadium.
And Warner, who set up that long drive with a brilliant 28-yard run, caps it with a 10-yard reception for the score. Johnson's try for point is there. And for these 2 teams, a high-scoring opening quarter. 4:35 remaining in the first period. Seattle 14, Denver 7. Seattle kicks off, and this kickoff is sponsored by Budweiser, the king of beers. Johnson kicking toward Ricky Nattiel and Gene Lang. His previous 2 kickoffs have been out of the end zone. This one a little shorter. Nattiel 3 yards deep. He'll sit on it for the 20-yard line. The touchback is called. Let's go back to the touchdown as Warner had the field flooded with receivers.
Here's Warner on the far side, number 28. He's just going to drift out into here and cut across. Well, let's turn it loose, and I'll stop it as you get a chance to watch what Dave Craig will do here. He's going to look the defender off and freeze him right here. Stop it right there. Here's the man that he wants to freeze, number 31, Mike Harden. He's looking into here. What he wants is the opening here. Now watch Kurt Warner come into that opening. Whoop, we'll have to come back and show it to you.
Kay, the tight end in motion from the 20, Will Hite for 4. Let's go back to
here it is. Watch now as Warner comes in behind Mike Harden, who's been immobilized right there. And there's the opening, right straight down the middle. All alone, nobody home.
So looking off the defender there is a great lesson.
Good job by the quarterback, who froze Mike Harden in the secondary and then took advantage of it with that good pass.
Dave Craig at times maligned. He's very, very good at times, and when he's been down, he's been very low. Will Hite has a first down up the middle to the 33-yard line. Young and Bryant make the tackle after a 9-yard gain.
Dick, I talked about Dan Reeves wanting to improve the rushing performance of his offense. One of the ways he feels they have done that is to give them a better rushing package, which includes a lot of draw plays. They averaged about 8.5 yards per draw play in the preseason. So it's been a very productive play going in, and certainly got them a first down there.
Delay again, Will Hite. Nothing there this time. Fred Young, 3 years, 3 Pro Bowls. Young makes the tackle. Terry Taylor there with an assist. Bruce Schultz in on the action.
Young made the Pro Bowls, the first 2, as a special teamer, an all-time kamikaze. He's now a very productive linebacker in that defensive system for the Seahawks, and with the Boz in there, I think becomes even more effective because you can't concentrate on it.
Well, Seattle comes in with 6 defensive backs, all the linebackers except Tony Woods, the #1 draft pick from Pittsburgh. He wears 57, is in there. Elway, a draw again to Wilhite, flag down. Wilhite somersaults across the 40. He close to a first down, but a flag thrown by the head linesman.
Mike Shanahan, offensive coordinator for Dan Reeves, said one of the things we have to do is run on those 2nd and 3rd and long yardage situations. When the Seahawks bring in all those DBs, we've got to be able to run the ball effectively.
Ken Easley, 45, will be the decision maker. Gerald Wilhite apparently banged up on the play.
Illegal formation by the offense that did not have an eligible man on the end of the line. Offside, lined up in the neutral zone. Number 79 on the defense. Penalties all set. 2nd down.
No play. Jacob Green lining up in the neutral zone. Illegal formation Broncos. So the ball responded at the 34. 2nd down and 8. In comes Natil. Anxious to see him again. Recall his brilliance in London in the very first preseason game. And he was outstanding throughout the entire summer here in Denver. Natil is 84 from Florida. Again, Elway having trouble getting his receivers in the right spot, and the time is down to 10 seconds. Natil and Jackson to the left. Johnson now in motion, so that'll be a triple left. Natil right at the first down marker. It appears to be good enough at the 43.
I'll tell you this, if I were a defensive back and I saw those 3 speedsters coming out to the same side, I'd say, oh no, I don't want any part of that. They can all burn you. And Natil came into this professional game with discipline, with a lot of the moves that it takes many receivers years to pick up. He had them in his very first game. Very, very impressive.
Melvin Jackson, who played at Calgary in the Canadian Football League the last 3 years, makes a tackle. Oh, wow, what a hit by Fred Young on Sammy Winder. 14-7. Denver trailing Seattle late in the first quarter, and the only other late game today, I guess that's a corrected score. The Raiders in Green Bay, no score in the second. A reminder to our viewers, we'll be selecting the Budweiser Most Valuable Player. We'll announce that at today's conclusion. Elway, play action, has a man. It's Johnson, and a first down at the Seattle 45.
One of the ways that John Elway hurts you, aside from his scrambling, is the use of that powerful arm. That means that ball does not hang in the air a long time. And when you throw a timing pattern like this, it's almost impossible to cover. That ball was thrown before the cut by Vance Johnson, and look how quickly, even in slow motion, it gets out there. No chance to cover it.
First down at the 45, final play probably of the first quarter, unless a penalty or incomplete. Lawrence Kay to the 30-yard line, another Denver first down, and the Broncos are on the gallop. The end of the first quarter here at Mile High Stadium, and it's been all offense. Seattle 14, the Broncos 7. Best man is Brian Bosworth. I don't care if you're in Seattle or Denver, they're hot items. Boz Busters, the land of Boz.
No Bozos. They got that one here. I'll tell you, it's interesting to me that a young rookie who is playing his first regular season game today, can have that impact on the game and can come out with an $11 million contract. This young man must have learned something about PR in his time at Oklahoma.
I think that he was a business major. You purposely wanted to go down into the locker room before the game, just as you said, to see him eyeball to eyeball, see what kind of face he had. What was your reaction?
A lot of rumors, and I would tend to agree with what Ahmad said in our pregame show, where he talked about the fact that there are two Brian Bosworths. There's the Boz that does all these brash things and has the earring and the strange hair and says all these wild things, and then there's a very quiet side of that same individual, Brian Bosworth. And he impressed me as being exactly that in the locker room before the game.
We open the second quarter. The Broncos with a first down at the Seattle 30, trailing by a touchdown. We haven't had a punt yet. Both teams hold the ball well, and another case in point as Sammy Winder picks up 8. And that was Boz's area.
Well, one of the things that's going to happen is that Brian Bosworth is going to make some bad plays. He's not yet comfortable in there. Billy Bryant, number 64, the center. Good lockup by Billy to give some room to Winder. Winder into the game was the starter, the leading ground gainer for 5 years for these Broncos. Lost his starting assignment to Gerald Wilhite at the beginning here of this season.
Only Winder behind Elway on second and short. Winder, no room at all. Ooh, to Jeff Bryant, or Joe Nash it is. Came up quickly to nail him. Nash from Boston College, a free agent pick, and beat out Tuiasa Sopo, and in his second year was a Pro Bowler.
One of the things you'll see very quickly, rushing yardage for the Seahawks, not as impressive as it was early in that first quarter. 63 yards to 25 for the Broncos, and most of the Bronco yardage on draw plays. Passing yardage 120 for the Broncos, only 60 for the Hawks, but 2 touchdowns among those Seahawks, 60 yards.
Big play, 3rd and 7. Elway will use the shotgun. Jackson in motion. Flag down. Elway complete, will be short of a first down to Natil.
Jeff Bryant, number 77, anticipating the snap, jumps off sides, and Denver will have another shot at it.
Bryant, 272 pounds of muscle and speed.
At the bottom of your screen, number 77, and you see him moving. Very often when you see that, you see him pointing at the center. I'll bet that center flexed his hands. Billy Bryant has been around a long time. I'll bet it gave him a little flex on the wrist. It got him moving.
Where they're like springs, those defensive ends, just looking for any clue to
any move.
Number 77 on the defense, still 3rd down.
3 of these Seahawks dinged for a good part of last year. Jeff Bryant, one of them, ankle problems for a good part of last season. Joe Nash inside had ankle problems a good part of the season. Kenny Easley, an ankle operation. Those are 3 very important cogs in that defense. Tom Catlin is really tickled to have them back.
3rd down and 2. And Elway will go up under center for this down. Wilhite and Lang behind him. Lang. First down and more. Robinson and Taylor finally ride Gene Lang to the turf, and the Broncos get 4 more downs, trailing 14-7 early in the second quarter.
During 1986, in most situations like this, Elway would have been trusted to go to the air. Here he goes to the running game. They feel they have to reestablish the strength of that running game. Gene Lang, not a big back, but you can see runs with real power, picks up the first down.
Lang 5'10", 196 pounds. Wilhite penetrates the 15-yard line, and a flag is down. Broncos applauding, apparently. Yep, face mask against the Hawks.
Second face masking call of the day.
Face mask, number 58 on the defense, still first down.
Bruce Schultz, and the penalty takes it inside the 10, where it'll It'll be 1st and goal for the Broncos, trailing 14-7, 12 minutes, 18 seconds remaining in this second quarter. You see the baseball infield still intact. They'll sod this field beginning tomorrow and could have an impact in the game. A possible field goal that would be in that medium range where you have to kick off the dirt.
Footing is not good for a running play that side either. I'd expect him to run back to the grassy side,
which would be to the left. Away. Throws it away. Joe Nash pressuring the multi-millionaire Elway.
You saw the shot by Boz coming out. Boy, he just about took Elway's helmet off here. Nash pushing from the inside from the back, but it was really the Boz, number 55, who decked Elway on that play, and Elway, realizing who it was, bounced up and ran back to the huddle. Here it is, right here. There's the shot there. And he came close to getting a penalty on it because he did go up toward the helmet.
12th play of this drive as the Broncos endeavor to tie. Wilhite, fumble, wide open. This could be a big play. Fred Young has speed. One man to beat is Elway. And Elway makes the tackle at the 45-yard line. How do you do it? A good open field play for Elway.
A heady play by Fred Young, who's pointing out to Melvin Jenkins, hey, don't worry about the guys behind me. Get upfield and block Elway. He's the one that's got a shot at me. We'll show it to you when we come back.
So the Seahawks, great on the turnovers, have the ball at midfield.
Is brought to you by Ford and your local Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light. It doesn't get any better than this. And by Castrol, the motor oil engineered for today's smaller cars.
Welcome back to Mile High Stadium. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen. A big turnaround for the Seahawks. Here's the fumble by Wilhite. Watch 55 Bosworth.
Right in the middle of your picture, number 55. Good reaction. A good hit. He and Gaines smashed that ball out of there. We'll show you the rest of that play in just a moment.
Young went 44 yards, scooping up the fumble. Seattle begins in Denver territory. Kurt Warner outside, 35, 25. And Warner finally out of bounds at the 15-yard line, at the 15. Warner again dazzling the Bronco defense with his footwork. Here's the fumble play.
The last play will go quickly through the first part of it where you see the fumble. Now, watch when Fred Young picks up this ball and heads upfield. He sees that he's got...
We won't see it.
We're not going to see it that way. But he spotted Elway. Here he is, upfield. Watch him. He points it out. He said, go block Elway. Go block Elway. Telling his defensive back to get upfield, put the block on Elway. They didn't get him, and Elway made the tackle.
Saved the touchdown, but Warner with another gain of 29 has a first down at the 15 of Denver. John L. Williams to the 11, maybe the 10, a pickup of 4 or 5.
This is an unusual play because you don't usually find your quarterbacks going in there and taking on defenders and taking down a linebacker, and that's exactly what John Elway did.
Well, yesterday Chuck Knox was talking about Elway's speed. Because he's so big and he has a lumbering stride, he's deceptive. He ran right by a cornerback. He wanted that tackle, and he didn't give any angle for a block.
I think the best way to describe him as a gamer. He does whatever he can to help his team win.
2nd and 5 from the 10. Seattle trying to build on a 14-7 lead. Warner. And he made 3 out of a play that appeared to have nothing written all over it. Greg Cragen, the nose tackle, makes the stop.
Warner goes into each of those running plays with a clear look. He can go anywhere he wants to go. He's free to pick any hole he wants to pick. His offensive linemen come off. They try to create gaps, and Warner may break from one side all the way to the other.
Freddie Gilbert, an injured leg, is down for Denver. Timeout, 14-7 Seahawks. On power, they're taping the right ankle. A reminder, next Sunday, week 2. They've got some outstanding matchups. Always a great rivalry. The Steelers at Cleveland, and the Browns, after losing today, will be angry. Miami, Indianapolis. Houston, upset win over the Rams today at Buffalo. Denver will be playing at Green Bay. Merlin and I will be up in Seattle, Washington. Kansas City, a winner today, plays the Seahawks. It is third and short for Craig. Out of the backfield, Largent. And Seattle will be forced to try the field goal.
You're liable to find Largent anywhere. Here he lines up as a back. Extra receivers on the field. Quickly swings out. The Denver defense was not fooled. They were right there to unload on him. That pass thrown a little too hard for him to handle.
Well, this is already a 4-point effort by Elway. The tackle's worth 4 points, and should Johnson miss the field goal, it's a 7-point tackle. Johnson, one of the best, especially at long range. This is relatively short, 25 yards. It just did squeak over the crossbar. Simon Fletcher appeared to get a piece of it. It's good. 10:18 left in the opening half. A 10-point lead. Barely making that field goal. Simon Fletcher able to get a hand up, and we'll show you just how close that came to being a no score for the Seahawks as Norm Johnson tees it up. Gene Lang and Ricky Nattiel. Nattiel, the rookie, on the far side for Denver. Johnson, who rooted them into the end zone, kicking in the other direction. Let's see how he does into a mild breeze. Well enough. Nattiel to the 22-yard line. Let's go back to the field goal by Johnson.
Let's take a look at Simon Fletcher, number 73. He drives in. He really doesn't get a great deal of penetration. The secret is the timing of his jump. This ball is not kicked as high as it should be. Fletcher is up perfectly and gets a hand on the ball. Most times that's enough to deflect it away or knock it down. The ball still continued on and through the goalpost. A big break for Seattle.
Denver inside the 10 when Wilhite fumbled, and Young picked it up to set up the field goal. Elway saving 4 points with his tackle. Here comes Gene Lang. The 24-yard line, a gain of a couple. Greg Gaines spearheading the charge.
Still no punts. These offenses cracking them.
And still no score in Green Bay. The only other late game today. Fred Gilbert apparently still in some pain with that ankle.
Being tended by Steve Antonopoulos, the Bronco trainer, on that sideline.
Steve Watson, the veteran, to the top of your screen. Nattiel, the rookie, to the left. Elway going for Watson. He's got it. First down at the 42-yard line. Watson's first catch. He's been their leading receiver 5 years amongst receivers.
And Watson will do for Denver what Largent does for Seattle. The control patterns, the discipline, taking advantage again of Elway's strong arm to hit that one right on the sideline. And again, perfect timing. So hard to cover a man when that ball is in the air before he makes his break.
Big Orson Mobley in motion. Elway's primary target covered, so he picks out Clarence Kay. And Kay is to the Seattle 44. Well, there's the great reactions of Elway. He told me yesterday he could not make that play in his first 3 years. The first receiver covered, he would have waited too long. This time, boom, he made a second choice, found Kay, and a good gain.
Felt the pressure, thought for a second he might be in trouble. Watch him here. Feels the pressure, looked like he was going to run, but really all he wanted to do was find Clarence Kay. And Clarence Kay knew what to do with that ball when he got it. He's down to 233 from 242 last year. 9 pounds lighter and quicker. Showed you that quickness on that play.
Kay, the tight end.
Reverse.
Jackson now to Elway. Elway has to dump it off incomplete to Jackson at the 50, and that was a good incomplete. And Bosworth and Elway meet once again.
Chuck Knox described Bosworth as an impact player. That means someone who come in and do things for you right away. Also means somebody who's willing to contact the opponents. Well, Bosworth certainly did that, and he got there in time to force a quick pass. Elway didn't want to throw it that quickly.
They hit his hot button quicker, wherever that may be. Well, the hairdo apparently costs him about $50 to $70 a week. He goes in once a week, and it depends on how much coloring he puts in, whether it's 50 or 70. He could go every day with the contract he signed. 2nd and 10 up the middle. Winder. 30. And Robinson rides him down at the 25. Sammy Winder. He lost his starting job, and he is well motivated.
Sometimes he needs a little bit of a spur. Did not have the great training camp that he's had in the past. But Reeves said very clearly, you're going to see a lot of running backs. We're going to keep our people in there and keep them fresh. Watch as Winder explodes up the middle. Gets out of the tackle right there by Tony Woods. Also a rookie linebacker, #1 pick. Turned him loose. He gets upfield, picks up the first down.
Midpoint of the 2nd quarter, 17 to 7, Seattle leads, and Denver on the drive again. Both teams moving the ball very effectively, and flags down as Elway. Look at this. Finally, Watson wide open. And Watson out of bounds inside the 15. And it'll be a matter of whether Kay was offside or Seattle was offside.
Well, there's no question that Kay moved. I don't think the Seattle players touched anyone. They were definitely in the neutral zone. We'll let the officials sort that one out.
Could be a double penalty and no play. We'll see.
But always dangerous when there is an offsides, and you saw what happens. The timing is off, and occasionally a defense will stop. Wrong. You don't want to do that. If you're playing defense, you got to play it all the way out because you don't know what those officials are going to decide.
Illegal procedure is the call against Denver.
Dictating that Kay drew off the defenders with his movement.
So the yellow flag count is dead even. 4 for 25 both sides.
It's one area in which the Broncos had not done well in the preseason. Look, quite a few more penalties than their opponents. In fact, penalized 36 times as opposed to 23 for their opponents in the preseason.
2 men in motion at the snap by the offense. 5 yards, still first down.
Well, Denver the last time deep in Seattle territory inside the 10. In fact, the line of scrimmage, the 8-yard line. Wilhite fumbling. Long return by Fred Young that led to the field goal. 25 yards that just barely got through. Simon Fletcher deflecting. Now Denver marching downfield again. Denied 5 less with that penalty. So it's 1st and 15. Ball just inside the 30. Watson left. Natil right. Wilhite and Lang now the running backs. Lang. Well done by Joe Nash. Nash stacked up the play, and then Schultz and Young and Robinson finished him off.
Nash showing some of that form that got him into the Pro Bowl in his first full year of play. Very quick reaction to the outside. Spun away and was squared up to the line, waiting for Gene Lang to make his cut.
Seattle with 100 yards rushing, most of those from Kurt Warner, who's had another brilliant day, averaging 10 yards a carry in this first half. 8 carries, 83 yards. 2nd and 15. Little shovel pass to Wilhite, not fooling Bryant a bit. Fumble. Seahawks have it again, unless the whistle had blown it dead. Eugene Robinson, 41, coming up with a pumpkin.
I believe they're going to call it a fumble, Dick.
Yes, sir. Seattle has it. Fewest fumbles last year, Denver. Best in the NFL, but they've had 2 enormously crucial giveaways here in the first half.
Watch this great play by Jacob Green. Read the play perfectly, got off the block by Sewell right there and strips the ball. That's Eugene Robinson to pick it up. We may see that one reviewed from upstairs, though.
Gerald Wilhite fumbling for the 2nd time. Knee crushed by Green as he made the tackle, and the officials have overruled, the replay official has overruled that this is not a fumble. Watch as the knee down before the ball is out. There goes the knee.
Jacob Green's body driving that knee into the ground. And there was a question as to when that ball came loose. The officials deciding that that knee tapped down before the ball came loose. I'll tell you, the worst havoc caused by the injury, and it looks like it might be a hyperextension or a stretching and straining injury to Will Height's knee. And he, of course, is their starting tailback in that offense right now.
And leading receiver last year, 64
receiver, so
catches.
you don't want to lose that kind of player, but you do have the ball back in your hands.
The ball ruled dead then at the 31-yard line, where it is 3rd and long. Still no score. The Raiders at Green Bay in the second period. Here at 17-7 Seattle, and Denver gets a second chance on 3rd and long. 3rd and 16. Always screens at the line. 25, 20, and down at the 19, short of the first down. Boy, did you see the speed of the rookie Tony Woods from behind? He was gaining in a hurry on Lang, and Woods saved the first down.
Dick, because of the kind of scheme that this team uses, watch Lang. Now, he is always in that position, waiting to pick up as a blocker. This is a middle screen. They'll let the defensive lineman through. Lang is just going to fake the block and slip up inside. They need the block on Bosworth, which they get from John Ayers, to make that play go.
Rich Carlos will try a 37-yard field goal. Kubiak to hold, but he's kicking off that infield dirt. No, yes, it is good. Hooking it inside the left upright. So the Broncos back within 7. It is the Hawks leading 17-10. Timeout. Replay official, it must be irrefutable evidence, and they felt that that was the case on the replay on the fumble, which led to 3 points. Now try to watch where the ball pops out and the knee at the same time. He's not down yet. Is the ball out? Well, boy, that's close. I couldn't have called that inconclusive.
They're not supposed to reverse them unless they feel there is absolute and conclusive evidence that they can see that, yes, that is a wrong call. We're going to turn it around.
And that's the only angle that they have, because that's the only replays we have. So a 4-point tackle by Elway saving Denver, and now a reversal of the fumble gets Denver 3 more. So that's 7 big points. And Carlos will hit this one where no one will run. It's 17-10. Seattle here at Mile High Stadium. Let's go to NFL Live in New York.
Dick, in the first quarter at RFK, Jay Schrader injured his shoulder. His status for next week against Atlanta uncertain. Doug Williams relieved him through 2 touchdown passes. This was the last one, 39 yards to Art Monk in the fourth quarter. It was the game winner. Washington goes on to prevail, 34-24.
Of Denver as Dave Craig play action on first down. Has a man open, it's Largent, and a first down at the 38-yard line. Steve Largent, there's a good chance to talk about what an incredibly great player this 32-year-old veteran out of Tulsa is. He starts with 694 career catches, and this year with a normal 70-catch season, Largent will become #1 and pass Charlie Joyner, who retired from the Chargers this off year. He's got 2 today. He just continues to amaze his great talent and maybe the hardest worker in the entire Seattle team. First down, 37. Gives Craig some room to operate. Little misdirection, John L. Williams across the 40. Mark Haynes at the corner makes the tackle after a couple of yard gain.
The blocker on that play, by the way, trying to spring him, Steve Largent. Blocking on the safety, trying to bump him out of there. You know what makes Largent so valuable in a sense, too, is that he is so bright in approaching these defensive backs. The better the defensive back, it almost improves his performance because he forces them to make bad decisions. He gives them false reads.
Second down and 7. 4.5 minutes remain, second quarter. Warner with blockers, but Mecklenburg got there for no gain. Carl Mecklenburg from Minnesota. Pro Bowler the last 2 years, number 77.
He's been moved to the outside, although he lined up inside at an inside linebacking position on that play. We mentioned he would be moving around today, but not as much as he did at the end of last year, and not as much as he will later in the year. But he was right there from that linebacking position to put a hat on Kurt Warner.
3rd and 7. 4 wide receivers for Seattle. Oops, Butler falls, and it was incidental contact, no penalty. Butler and Mark Haynes became engaged, and Butler, just as he was sprinting into the clear, trips up. So for the first time in the game, we see a punter on the field, and it's rookie Ruben Rodriguez from the University of Arizona for Seattle. Natil, who is an exciting return man, is a solo back inside the 20. 10 men on the line of scrimmage for Denver. Very high. Natil, no fair catch. Wolf down at the 22-yard line.
Seahawks flying in on that coverage downfield. Rusty Tillman's troops again doing a good job in coverage.
When you see the kind of contact as we saw in that last play, and you've got a 14-year-old son who's starting high school playing football, did he ask you whether or not you wanted him to play?
Well, he asked early about playing when he was younger, and I said no. I said, I don't think you're ready. And I asked him if he would hold off until he got to high school. But I think he's ready now, Dick, and he is playing, and with my permission. And but of course, I worry.
Gene Lang out to the 27-yard line, and your wife Susie, who is a tremendous football fan, I think she loves the game more when other kids are playing it.
Well, I can remember vividly my mother telling me when I was a sophomore in high school and wanted to play football for the first time, no, you can't do that. You're going to get hurt. I said, Mom, I said, there are a lot of things we can talk about. This is not one of them. And she wisely retreated and said, okay, go ahead.
2nd down and 5. Denver with a chance on a long drive to tie. Elway to the outside to Watson. And a good tackle, Terry Taylor at the 34-yard line. 7 yards on the play. The Raiders have broken the scoreless tie in Green Bay.
Tried to work out their quarterbacking problems. Rusty Hilger, of course, the man they want to start. Still the shadow of Mark Wilson on his shoulder.
Elway to Watson. First down at the 49 of Seattle. 17 more for Elway. 2:22 left. You saw him look at the clock.
One of the difficulties of playing against Dan Reeves and this Denver offense, they do so many different things. They bring their plays each week with a new look, and they've got all kinds of ammunition to work with.
And there's the big gun Elway. Over the middle. Lang for the 43. Pickup of about 6. And that'll take it to the 2-minute mark. In fact, down to 1:57. The 2-minute timeout here in Denver, Colorado. A 7-point game. Laser sharp in this first half, has missed on only 4 pass attempts, and the 1 interception was because of a deflection at the line of scrimmage that bounded high in the air and was a free ball that Kenny easily picked off for Seattle. The ball is inside the 43 of the Hawks. 1 minute 57 seconds remaining in the first half. And of course, NFL Live with Bob, Ahmad, and Paul will bring you up to date on all the top plays of the early games, scores and highlights, so stay with us. Denver trying to create another one and tie it up before the intermission. Draw, Winder to the 32, first down. Denver has 2 timeouts left.
Bosworth and Gaines, 2 linebackers on the tackle. They expected the pass and got the run. Good mix on the plays.
11 yards. Elway incomplete to Lang at the 25. Great gains on the coverage. Talked with Elway yesterday, Merlin, and I asked him about his baseball experience as a Stanford baseball star, and of course playing outfield in the Yankee chain for a year. I said, what carryover from baseball can you apply to football? He said, well, mental toughness. You think about football being the tough game physically and mentally. He said the mental toughness to play every day and swallow those 0 for 4s and be ready the next day and try to understand why the line drives are being caught. He said that's helped me in football.
Consistency. Yeah, you see what Chuck Knox thinks, and this is where he's most dangerous.
That was not a good pass. It looked like it got away from him. Incomplete. Melvin Jenkins on the coverage. Lang again the target, and that'll bring up 3rd and 10.
Elway has always had that great arm, Dick, and we talked early in his career about that sometimes working against him because he thought he could throw right through the coverage. You saw him right there throwing right through the receiver. You see them going on 3rd and long here. But the thing that always impresses me about Elway is that he can take a broken play and make a big play out of it. I think it's that special ability that makes him so coveted by the general managers and the coaches around this league.
7 seconds on the 30-second clock. 4 seconds. 3rd and 10. There it is. There's the scramble. And he won't pick up the first down as he collides with one of the members of the press along the sidelines.
Actually, a guy yard marker. They've moved those yard markers way back. Elway had a defensive back coming up hard on the outside. Figured he was going to get hit. He didn't. It was David Hollis who was coming up, number 25. Hollis misses him, doesn't touch him, but in avoiding Hollis, Elway wiped out the guy who had the yard marker at his head.
Elway, who rushed for 257 yards to lead all the AFC quarterbacks last year, gets 7 on that, and Carlos to try a long one.
Carlos made one earlier off the dirt, but last week missed 2, a 45 and a 47-yarder off of that dirt infield.
And this one will be 43 yards. Right down Broadway. 17-13. Officially 42 yards for Carlos.
Carlos talked to me about studying Taekwondo, the martial arts, during this offseason to improve his concentration. Also doing a lot of cycling to strengthen his leg. I tell you, those kickers are still a special breed, Dick. We got 2 left-footed punters and a barefoot kicker in this game. They are indeed strange folks at times.
They do create good party conversation.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
When in doubt, invite a kicker to your next cocktail party. 1:17 seconds remaining, and Seattle has all of its 3 timeouts left. So we'll see how Knox and his quarterback Craig plays it. It appears they'll start from the 20 because going from right to left in this first half, the men kicking off have been able to kick it out of the end zone. Just in case, Randall Morris and Bobby Joe Edmonds. Edmonds on the near side, deep for Seattle. Bright sunshine, 80-plus degrees in Denver. Oh, this one's short. Edmonds coming up to field it. Oh, knocked away, and Denver has recovered. Mark Munford, number 51, a rookie. Munford, a number 4 pick out of Nebraska, celebrates, and the Broncos with a big break as Edmonds was run into by his own teammate.
It looked like Randall Morris, it's Burst, Tony Burst, 34, the rookie, and it's a miscommunication. I'm sure that Edmonds is saying, I've got it, I've got it, I've got it. But amidst the noise, the rookie didn't hear what was happening there, and it's a costly turnover. Timeout for Seattle. I think they had only 10 men on the field.
So a huge break for the Denver Broncos, trailing 17-13.
Tony Woods, rookie number 1 linebacker, the last month coming off, and I think it's Rusty Tillman, the most honored special teams coach in the NFL, and you feel the shaking of that camera. That's the crowd here. Boy, they're almost shaking that field out there. Rusty's shaking a little bit too as he talks to his troops.
But what a thrill for, on the other sidelines, young Munford, who is a Denver native product, playing in his first official National Football League game, to come up with that recovery.
Most coaches in the NFL talk about the danger of playing rookies. They'll make big plays for you. They'll also make big mistakes for you. I saw both of those on that same play.
Good point, Merlin. The ball at the 21-yard line as Seattle setting itself defensively, and in a way a good timeout to try to regain some of the emotion of the moment. If Denver had gone right on the field with this crowd going crazy after the turnover, that might have been an added plus for the men in orange. Well, Elway with a chance to give his team the lead, and as you saw, they were perfect 8-0 when they led at the half last year. 7 defensive backs for Seattle. Elway, 1:15 left, 2 timeouts remaining. Underneath to the 16 to Natil. Clock running. David Hollis, a rookie from UNLV, made the stop.
That injury to Patrick Hunter, who is scheduled to start at cornerback, has caused some scrambling in the Seattle defense.
2nd and 4. And Elway, you saw, just threw the ball on the ground. Now, that's different from years past where you could throw the ball to the sidelines out of bounds, but you threw the ball forward, they might call grounding. They've just changed the rule to say if you want to stop the clock, if you want to just throw it at your feet, that's okay.
Of course, Elway preserving a timeout here by killing the clock, getting time to pull a new play in there. Didn't like what he saw, obviously. The Seattle defense on the running downs, the choice downs, is very simple. But on this long yardage package, one of the most complex in football.
3rd and 4 at the 15. Sewell down at the 4-yard line. 1st and goal, Broncos. Timeout. 42 seconds remaining in the half. First half.
We've had almost every kind of action possible. Look, to me, there was some confusion on the part of the defense for Seattle. 2 men following a man in motion, and Sewell coming all the way from the far side, able to pull that ball in. An opening, and of course, a very accurate pass from Elway.
Tom Catlin, former Oklahoma All-American, the defensive wizard of the Seahawks, with his coaching crew.
Both defensive coordinators have talked about simplifying their plan for this game because of the new players on the field. And I think that, of course, has passed some of the advantage over to the offense. We've seen a lot of offense here in this first half.
Now, this is an interesting call for Denver. 1st and goal at the 4. 42 seconds left. Seattle, with 4 yards out, are going to look for the pass because of the timeout situation. Might be a time to cross them up. I wonder if Reeves would try one quick run, knowing that you got to call a quick second play in the huddle.
Wouldn't surprise me. Shanahan and Reeves both feel that they can catch Seattle overplaying the passing game. And, of course, that's Elway's strength. You've got to play to it. But they're going out of the shotgun. That lessens the opportunity for a run.
That's right. Big horse and Mobley in motion. Incomplete to Lang. Well covered. Terry Taylor on that left corner. Eugene Robinson there as well.
Gene Lang turned upfield before he caught the football. I think just so excited to see that ball coming. Made the classic error. Took his eye off of it and turned upfield.
You know, it's been interesting here, Merlin Olsen. Suddenly it dawns on me we played a half. And other than the interception on the deflection, Kenny Easley's name has not been called very often.
That doesn't happen in many games.
1 timeout left for the Broncos. There's the quarterback draw. And Elway goes down at the 4-yard line. No gain. Kenny Easley. There he is.
That's like getting an extra blocker into the game, and I've always felt that that was the most dangerous play to play as a defensive lineman. That's the second time we've seen it in that territory. You remember the Seahawks tried it earlier, did not get it off, and Elway, sensing there was no chance to get into that end zone, slides to kill the clock.
But it was a wise call. One, he knew Easley was going to drill him, and he's going to get down. Easley was in great position for the play and secure the tackle, and that's the last time out for Denver.
Dick, you mentioned Kenny Easley not getting as many calls in this game as we're used to seeing. One of the reasons Seattle respects the fact that Denver will use their tight ends and position them in places where Easley has to cover him, that take him out of the tackling game and out of the support game on the running game.
In other words, that strong safety has to watch the tight end, and so they'll put Kay wide or send him in motion to try to get Easley away from the play.
Kay or Sewell or Mobley, and sometimes they line him up way away from the play, knowing that they're going to be able to get Easley out of position to make a play against the run.
Play 10 on 10. 32 seconds remaining, and Denver now must throw. No timeouts left. 3rd and goal from the 4. The Broncos trying to take the lead at 17-13 Seattle. All the time in the world. Touchdown, Steve Watson.
Jenkins, a free agent they brought in out of Canada, could not cover the great Steve Watson, who has had so many productive years in Mile High Stadium. There's celebrating going on the Broncos sideline, and obvious pain for Seattle. They thought they might be able to deny the Broncos points in that critical situation.
Rich Carlos to try the point after. It's good. So from 17-7 down in the second quarter, the Broncos have rallied with 13 unanswered points to take the lead.
And watch how long John Elway stayed in that pocket and waited in that pocket before he finally threw that football. We'll give you that replay in just a moment. These fans celebrating as they should. That touchdown. Watch Elway. Elway getting some great protection here. Watch him just stay in that pocket and scan his receivers. Waiting, waiting, waiting. And finally, that high pass. Watson snaring it. Boy, that's a toe dance on the sideline.
Well, you talked about a possession receiver, a move receiver, kind of slips out here and hides in the corner, and that takes a perfect throw, and the touch of the toes of Watson for 6. So the two quarterbacks with a pair of touchdown passes here in the opening half, and the fumble recovery on the misplayed kickoff by Seattle cost them 7 and the lead. 25 seconds remaining. And the difference in the score, whether who's leading or not, is John Elway's tackle that was worth 4 points, because Fred Young had a sure touchdown, open field, except that Elway on that fumble recovery run by Young was able to fight through 2 blockers, make the stop, and eventually Seattle got only 3.
Coaches around the league that tell you that Elway can hurt you in a lot of ways. I don't think they included on that list as a defensive back.
Oh, my. Now you can bet Seattle will play this one carefully after what happened on the last kickoff. See if Carlos hits that high mortar shot or drives it deep. Skids it. Ooh, that's a wicked bounce. Edmonds on the goal line. Bobby Joe Edmonds. Down at the 15-yard line. Ken Bell, 35, with the tackle. Well, this is not the place to gamble when you're that deep in your own end. And Chuck Knox, although he has loosened the grip on conservatism as he has mellowed in this league, has never been regarded as a wide-open coach. Now, Denver, when they get 20, and they have 20 and a half, unbeatable last year. But they lead by only 3. And Craig just sits on it. This first half technically over, although 14 seconds showing on the clock. Listen to the cheer for the Broncos, who rallied from 17-7 down.
A lot of protection accorded to the Departments. Of course, really coming on strong in that second quarter. Total yardage in their favor.
Time of possession was a big key you saw in favor of Denver. This kickoff is sponsored by Budweiser, the king of beers. As we open the second half, Rich Carlos kicking to the Seahawks. Morris on the near side, Bobby Joe Edmonds on the far side. The Seahawks moved the ball very effectively in the first half. They just didn't have it in their possession as much. Edmonds won't return this one. In the second period, Denver had the ball 28 plays. Seattle had the ball 8 plays. Even though Craig had a good first half, 2 touchdown passes, 5 for 9, and Warner in 9 carries rushed for 84 yards. Great production there. It was Denver that owned the football, and thus they rallied from 17-7 down.
The two offensive teams really controlled the first half of this game. And I believe, Dick, that we may see one of these defensive teams begin to assert themselves in the second half. If they can do that, they can take control of this football game.
Dave Craig, John L. Williams at fullback, and Kurt Warner the tailback. It's Warner outside. And a flag down as Warner out of bounds at the 24.
In the area we would expect a holding call. Of course, that's going to put Seattle's backs to the wall here.
It is holding against the Hawks. That'll take it back to the 10-yard line. That's not where you want to start the second half. We understand that Gerald Wilhite, you saw the second.
Holding, number 32 on the offense, still first down.
The play in which he fumbled, then ruled no fumble on that play, injured a knee. He will not return to today's game, but Fred Gilbert, the starting left end who injured an ankle, is playing in there now, in fact. And we'll take that back. Walt Boyer, 65, is at that left end position, but the word is that Gilbert can play. From his own goal line. Underneath he goes to the tight end Mike Tice, his first catch, and Tice out to the 21, an 11-yard gain.
In the battle in the trenches, both offensive lines really have had the edge here today. Not a single sack and very few pressures on the quarterbacks.
This game is the property of the National Football League. Seattle Seahawks and Denver Broncos, all rights reserved. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Denver Broncos and the NFL is prohibited. 2nd and 9. Largent in motion. Had 2 catches first half. Craig going long for Turner. And incomplete. A flag down. Face mask. Harden got a piece of the face mask.
That's an unbelievable play. Harden didn't really know that that ball was nowhere near being caught.
Actually, ball had already bounced off the back of the receiver, and Harden just reaching in accidentally, and it was not intentional, got a piece of the mask.
The pass is incomplete. We've got a personal foul for a face mask, which will be 15 yards from the previous spot. First down.
Wow, that's a tough 15-yarder. I thought they might give him just 5.
Well, anytime you hang on that mask and jerk that mask down, these officials are instructed because of the danger in that kind of movement. And you see a lot of the NFL rules aimed at protecting the player, and that's one of them. You jerk on that mask, you might injure a player's neck.
15 yards out to the 36-yard line. Dan Reeves, the play was right in front of the head coach of the Broncos.
I think Reeves may be arguing that Turner was actually interfering with and maybe face guarding the defensive back.
Well, Seattle comes out with a first down.
Here's the end of the play. Now Turner has lost the ball. Watch him. Well, he doesn't wave his arms. You can't call him. And there's the mask. You saw the head jerk down. It's a good call by the officials.
Just an unusual play.
We've had a lot of them.
Warner. Boyer and Haynes, but it was 36. Mark Haynes, the cornerback, into the backfield to make the play, and Boyer finished him off. All the scores on this NFL first Sunday. New England a winner. Upsets Pittsburgh over the 49ers at home. Jets squeak at Buffalo. Washington a winner. New Orleans an upset of Cleveland. And St. Louis, that would have to be regarded as a mild upset, beating the Cowboys. Kansas City beat San Diego. They'll play Seattle next. The Rams stunned by Houston in the Dome. Cincinnati a 2-point win at Indianapolis. Tampa Bay big. Minnesota winner at Detroit, and the Raiders on a Marcus Allen 1-yard run, 7-0 at Green Bay. Incomplete, intercepted. Dennis Smith. 35, 33. The Broncos another turnover.
Of the day that has bounced. The first one bounced off a lineman and was intercepted by Easley. This one goes through Largent's arms, and it's Dennis Smith, broken hand and all, putting that one away. You see the big cast on the left hand. Didn't bother him as he tucks it into his right arm and runs down. Finally tackled by Ron Mattis.
15 yards on the return. You won't see Largent miss many of those. That one will be an interception logged against Craig, but actually Largent normally would catch that ball. From the 33. Elway's first throw. The second half to Vance Johnson to the 20. Fred Young with a tackle. 13 more yards for the Broncos.
Young with 5 tackles and 2 assists in the first half. The leading tackler in this game. Back again, but you want to stop those folks before they get those first downs.
Turnovers even. These two teams feast on that statistic during the course of the year, or have for the last several seasons. First down, Winder to the 15-yard line, close to 5 more. 2nd and 5 for Denver. Bruce Schultz, 58, the Stork from Texas, makes the tackle.
The Broncos bring big Orson Mobley in motion. They use him like another guard. He's listed as a tight end. He is a monster. They just like putting an extra tackle into that line.
They list him at 256 pounds.
Wrong. Add about 20 to that, Dick.
That's Mobley in motion, 89. Winder. First down to the 8. Sammy Winder, who has been Denver's top rusher for the last 5 years, each of the last 5.
There's Orson Mobley, 89. Watch him now. He'll duck up into that line. He just becomes an extra lead blocker, just pushing himself up through there. Clarence Kay getting a good block on the other side, number 88. There's Winder. They opened a nice hole for him up inside, and he just refused to go to the ground.
From the 8-yard line, first and goal, Denver. Winder again to the 5. Eugene Robinson has made a lot of defensive plays today. He's in his 3rd year from Colgate, a free agent picked by Seattle a couple of years ago. Very bright, and they saw right away that Robinson had such mental ability.
He's the quarterback of that defense. Calls the defensive signals for him, calls the adjustments for him, and in a very complicated system like Tom Catlin puts on the field, you need a very bright and quick individual to do that.
Went to Colgate on an academic, not an athletic scholarship. 2nd and goal from the 5. Elway, misdirection, wide open Mobley. Huge target. He had 1 touchdown catch all of last year. Has one on opening day in 87. Carlos try for point. And to the delight of Denver and dismay of Seattle. 20 unanswered points by the Broncos. To keep his receiving corps happy. 8 different Bronco players have caught a pass. Orson Mobley, the latest, and he has a 5-yard touchdown and a 27-17 lead. So early in the second period, Seattle had a 17-7 advantage, and since then it's been all Denver. Interceptions and fumbles leading to their comeback, and now they're up by 10. 10 minutes, 21 seconds left. Third quarter. Edmonds has Carlos strength of leg again. 27-17 Denver.
Today's game is brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. By your Subaru dealers. And by McDonald's. It's a good time for the great taste.
The selling of this play is done by the backs, who both start this way, by Elway, who rolls outside, and then by Mobley, who faked the block inside and walks outside all by himself for that touchdown.
Dave Craig comes back throwing for Seattle. Block, and it goes to number 71. Brian Millard, the right guard. After the ball was batted in the air, Millard, a giant from Texas, had it fall right in his lap.
The ball is live when it's batted by the defense. Anyone can catch it. Had it been caught before it was touched by the defense, would have been an illegal pass.
Well, Dave Craig hasn't used all of his receivers, but that was not one of the intended targets.
Not one he
-6.
wanted. We mentioned the lack of pressure. Of course, that was pressure. Big hands in front of Dave Craig. Seattle, 15 yards, 2nd and 15. Needs to get something going here.
Craig on top to Largent. Oh, what a play to the 43-yard line. The ball well in the air before Largent made another cut and looked, and it was right there in the basket.
That was Castile. Castile has only been here for 10 days, but watch Largent forcing the bad move. Gives Castile that move to the inside, and when Castile starts to react, he's gone. He said, I try and think like a defensive back. I try and give them those bad moves so that they think I'm going to do something and I go somewhere else.
Boy, magical.
Illegal use of the hands, number 36 on the defense. That penalty is declined. First down.
27-yard pass to Largent goes.
And the other thing that Largent will do is to look those defenders right in the eye. Tries to get eye contact with them. And I said, why do you do that? He said, if they're looking into my eyes, they can't see what my feet are doing.
And those are magical feet. They're going to zero in on him in the fourth quarter. We have a little better end zone camera to just see his many moves. First down, 42. Trailing by 10 Seattle. Early third quarter. Play action Craig. Going for 6 to Turner. And it hits him in the back of the arm. Well covered by Mark Haynes. 10-point Denver lead. Let's go to NFL Live in New York.
Okay, Dick, this is the only other game in progress in the league. Third quarter at Green Bay. Randy Wright's pass intercepted by Raiders safety Van McElroy brings it back 35 for a touchdown. Last time the Packers beat the Raiders, Super Bowl II. Raiders 14, Green Bay zip.
All right, thank you, Bob. And here, the high-scoring pattern of this game continues. Only 6 minutes consumed in the third quarter. And Seattle now trying to get back at Denver's lead. Shotgun, 2nd and 10. Draw to Warner. Not much there to the 45. Gain of 3 for Kurt Warner. Townsend and Robbins with the tackle. Andre Townsend. He played on the outside last year. He's one of those many players that Merlin Olsen talked about in Denver that have changed position. Still playing, but not in the same spot. Townsend moving in on the nose.
Nose tackle, a position that takes some time to get comfortable with. You got people coming from all directions. Townsend likes to read and flow. That should be playing into the hands of this offense a little bit because they can bump you off the line and get an angle on you.
4 wide receivers for Seattle. 3rd and 7. Down the middle, open is Ray Butler, and a first down at the 35. Butler's first catch today, 20 yards. Now, just to show you Dave Craig's problems, and when he's had some bad games, unfortunately, the last 2 years, 2 of those games have been here in Denver. When Seattle plays Denver at home, look at the top line, 53%, lots of yards, 3 TDs, 1 intercept. But here at Denver, 15 completed passes and 48 attempts in the past 2 games. Today, he's been sharp, and the 1 interception really should not have been one. It went right through the arms of Largent. The throw was fine. Randall Morris. 7 worn shirts on him. 3-yard gain.
Dick, one of the players we haven't talked a great deal about, but we should in this Seattle offensive line, Blair Bush. One of the players they missed so sorely during last season, out with a severe knee injury, has come back to lead that offensive line again this year, bulked up to 270 pounds, trying to get better to handle those nose tackles. Doing a fine job in there today.
Chuck Knox talking about it yesterday. A banker in the offseason a couple of years ago, and having to work banker's hours, he realized with the pay that he wanted to be a continuing star in this game.
Shifted his interest to the weight room.
That's right. In a hurry. Craig looks off the defense and throws underneath to Paul Scansey. Former University of Washington star has another first down at the 22. And with that, we report bad news for Seattle fans. Kurt Warner, injured, apparently may not play anymore today. We'll get more specifics on Warner's injury. Will Height definitely, as we told you earlier, will not play anymore today. Injured knee on that fumble, no fumble.
Gathering of the defense on the far side around Coach Tom Catlin. They're concerned about putting the stopper on Elway and that Denver offense, but right now it's Craig who has his offense moving.
They gave it to John L. Williams, the fullback, inside to the 17. Rulon Jones and Walt Boyer with a tackle. 5 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in the 3rd period. Isn't that an amazing graphic? John L. Williams, offense and defense, the only NFL rookie to start every game last year. So the #1 pick out of Florida, not only paying dividends with his blocking and his running, but the fact that he's durable.
It's possible we'll see Williams and Burst, 2 big backs, together in short yardage later in the year.
2nd and a long 5 underneath, wide open Butler. Fumble! And Denver has it again. Dennis Smith. And for Seattle, it's been a terrible run of mistakes. Fumbles and interceptions, moving the ball well. But 3 times in the last 2 quarters, they've coughed it up. And Denver stops a drive that seemed destined towards some points.
This looks like a great play for Seattle. Butler wide open. Gets the first down yardage, but it's Dennis Smith reaching in and stripping that football away with his one good hand.
And then going back and recovering it. And recovered the ball.
As an interception earlier in the day, it's been a big day for Dennis Smith, and they didn't know whether he was going to play today.
Denver starts inside the 10. And there's a good lick put on Gene Lang by Fred Young and Jacob Green. Well, Young, very quietly a star in his own rights out of New Mexico. With all the talk about Boz, the way he's hit today, Merlin, I think he wants everyone to know that he still might be a dominant backer himself.
He has always been a great hitter. And on the inside, you've got to pay attention to where he is because he will unload on you. That's how he earned his way into the Pro Bowl, with a lot of hits on special teams his first 2 years. And I think he's one of the most instinctive linebackers in football.
2nd and 8. Elway into the flat to Mobley, the giant tight end for 2. Bruce Schultz. Rodeo tackle down at the 12. Let's check the baseball results in the big pennant races. The Yankees dim hopes But they slowed down the Jays 8-5. Detroit beats Milwaukee. Minnesota, the Twins galloping, win again. The Mets are in a rain delay 2-1 and a must win for them against St. Louis. Montreal loses. Cardinals and Mets, whoever wins that one, a chance to make some hay. And San Francisco building its lead in the West, 6-1 over Cincinnati. 3rd and 6. Over the middle to Mobley. First down at the 30. Talk about a big target. Orson Mobley, the biggest of tight ends in the NFL, gets 17 more.
Deck, that preponderance of plays by this Denver offense in the second quarter may have tired this defense somewhat. They're still not getting any pressure on Elway, and if you give him time to throw the football, he's going to find that open receiver.
Hasn't been a lot of dogging on either side, though, has
I think that's because of the new people on defense. They're kind of playing it close to the vest defensively.
Lang was very quick feet and an explosive starter, shoots across the 35 for a gain of 6 more. Let's check on other action. Back to New York and NFL Live.
Okay, Dick, here's a highlight from earlier in the day. Warren Moon zipping this pass to Ernest Givens, and the catch and run is good for 59 yards in the fourth quarter at the Astrodome against the Rams. It proved to be the game-winning play. Houston scored 17 in the last period to come back and win.
One of the big stories today. Thank you, Bob. Back here in Denver, it's Sammy Winder to the 41 and a Bronco first down, and ball control continues. Well, I guess the two big surprises of this day, Tampa Bay's overwhelming win against Atlanta and the upset in the Astrodome. The Oilers knocking off one of the preseason favorites to go deep into the playoffs, the Los Angeles Rams.
Certainly two surprises. One surprise for us as we get a report now that Warner may be back into the game. And that's good news for all those Seattle fans who are really concerned, as they should be, for their great running start.
That's a quick rehab. Here's the flea flicker. Elway, and wide open is Johnson. Touchdown, Denver. Loves that play. Elway to Sewell. Steve Sewell lateraling back to Elway. And Vance Johnson 15 yards deep behind the Seattle secondary. Carlos adds the extra point. And the man they say is perhaps the best in the game at quarterback, Elway. 4 touchdown passes. Got 416 yards in offense, and you're still in the third period. And you get a 4th touchdown throw from you, Star Elway. 92 yards in 6 plays, so a fumble going the other way. Seattle appeared to be about to score to tighten the game, and Denver hits them with a big one. Carlos to Edmonds. He's going to take it out from 5 yards deep. And Edmonds, what a play down the sidelines to the 38-yard line. So 43-yard return by Bobby Joe Edmonds. 1:20 left in the third quarter.
Every trick play known to man. This is their favorite today. A little toss back there, the flea flicker. They used it last year against the Seahawks here. Got a touchdown off it. They do it again. Johnson wide open. Chuck Knox on the sideline biting hard on his fingers. Could not believe that they did not read it better than they did defensively.
Seattle with a good return from Bobby Joe Edmonds. a fullback, struggles to the 43-yard line. 5 yards on the play. John Elway, 4 touchdown passes. 7 times last year over 300 yards. Today, 311. 4 scores, and the interception was a deflection. Well, the city, of course, celebrated a Super Bowl appearance last year, and they're thinking about that already in Game 1 this year, while Seattle, favored by many to be the team for the AFC, deflected incomplete. And there, the difference in size of quarterback. Craig, 4 or 5 inches shorter, doesn't have some of the advantages that the larger Elway does.
One of the concerns of Steve Moore, offensive coordinator for Seattle, is that they maintain that secure pocket, that they give him a little insulation. And it's exactly for that reason, Dick. He doesn't see as well over those on-rushing defensive linemen.
3rd down, 5. 38 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. After leading 17-7. Seattle has seen Denver score 27 straight points. Good job by Craig. He gets it to Butler, and a first down, a flag down. Mecklenburg did not have him within control. He had a piece of him, and Craig able to kick free. Now let's check the penalties.
Well, the rule reads grasp and control. We had the first part, not the second. Craig makes the most of it.
Boys, if Seattle doesn't have enough problems, they battle to a first down, and the penalty will bring it back. Boy, they've been their own worst enemy the last 2 periods.
Watch Dave Craig pull out of the tackle here. Now, if Mecklenburg can get control of him here, he has a hold of the leg, but doesn't have control of him.
Still 3rd down.
Darrell Turner lined up offside.
Now, it only takes one mistake offensively to shut down the play, and sometimes it's something as silly as lining up with your head over the ball.
3rd and 10, Seattle. Craig has had a decent day. One of those interceptions, not his fault.
It certainly has to be a concern to the Seattle Seahawks. It was a loss here last year that triggered that losing streak that ended up seeing Craig pinch.
4 losses in a row and knocked Seattle out of the playoffs. The end of the 3rd quarter. We'll be right back after these words from your local station. We open the 4th quarter. Denver Broncos in command, 34-17, and a big 3rd and 10 for Dave Craig after they picked up the first down, called back on the offside penalty. Down the middle, and he misses Kurt Warner. It was Warner on a similar play, shorter version, that scored a touchdown. Second score for Seattle back in the opening period, when the Hawks build up a 17-7 lead through 3 periods. Time of possession surprises me, Merlin. Only 4 minutes more for Denver. It seems as if they've had the ball twice as much.
They've had a lot more plays. Well, certainly much of the possession by the Seahawks was in the first quarter of this game. The next 2 quarters have seen a great deal more in possession by the Broncos.
Only the second punt of the entire game. Very high. Natil back at his 15. Ooh. And a flag down as Natil dropped at the 14-yard line. 47-yard punt by Rodriguez. Melvin Jenkins with the tackle.
No foul on the play. No foul on the play.
No, there is no foul, and Denver will take over at the 14-yard line as they pick up the flag in Denver. 14:44 left. He certainly engaged here, and suddenly it's all Denver. And we hope that this won't be just a two-game season. Is this a strike situation this year, in your eyes, any different than the one 5 years ago?
I really believe it is, Dick. I think 5 years ago, under Ed Garvey, the players were as much responsible for refusing to talk as the owners. The owners put a real gunslinger at the table, and they've left him there. I think the players have been willing to talk, and nothing has happened. We need to see some movement, or I'm afraid we are going to see a strike.
Winder to the 17-yard line as we check the other late game today, and the Raiders now have built a 17-0 lead. Here are some of the big stories of this first week of the NFL season. Steve DeBerg of the Bucks, 5 TD tosses to beat the Falcons. Redskins, injury. Schrader, Grimm, Atkinson, and Rodgers, and Paul Palmer and Christian Okoye of Kansas City. The 1-2 rookie tandem leading them to a win against the Chargers. 2nd and 7 for Elway. Almost intercepted. Went through the grasp of Robinson on the deflection. Intended for Steve Watson.
One of the things that Dan Reeves is very pleased about is the addition of John Ayers to this offensive line. Ayers was considered expendable by the San Francisco 49ers, who turned him loose. He's come here, quickly earned himself a starting position. One of the guys that's happiest to see him here, Billy Bryant. Billy says, now I'm not the oldest player on this team. And of course, the two of them playing shoulder to shoulder and hip to hip in that offensive line.
Bryant 32 and Ayers 2 years older. Lang. And they caught Denver looking pass, and it's a first down for Lang at the 28. Robinson made the tackle. 10 yards on the play. Another 4 downs for the Broncos.
A chance to watch Billy Bryant in action here as he blocks back. Watch Dave Studdard pulling up through, and here is John Ayers on the far side blocking man-to-man. Of course, you'll see the shot out of the shotgun as they pull up in behind and get some good yardage, surprising that Seattle defense that has really not had a very good day.
Winder, the only running back behind Elway on first down. Wide open Mobley. The tight end is to the Seattle 47 before Taylor makes the tackle. 25 more yards for Orson Mobley from Salem College.
In past years, you could almost ignore Denver's tight ends in a passing situation. You can't do that anymore. Rich Kay, Orson Mobley both catching passes here today. Mobley earlier for a touchdown, and of course right there for a very big game.
Half 100 for Mobley. And Denver's offense continues to roll with 12:43 left. Fourth quarter. Winder inside the 45, and Mobley, the tight end, in motion leading into the hole. Schultz and company on the tackle. But the emotional loss of a team that drives the length of the field only to fumble or lose the ball inside the 10 and then see the other team go down and score. You just can't put a figure on that, but that's been part of the Denver story today, that they've really taken that away from the Seahawks.
Turnover is horribly deflating to both the defense and the offense.
No hole. Sammy Winder, Jeff Bryant, number 77, and Jacob Green, the two ends for Seattle, with a tackle at the 45, where it'll be 3rd down and 7. Remember earlier in the game we had a graphic where the Seahawks had 100 yards rushing and Denver 33. And now the Broncos have a 5-yard lead in that department. And of course, trailing, Seattle won't be using much of its ground game. They're playing catch-up if and when they do get the ball. Another mistake by Seattle. Flags down. They were offside. Elway with a free play. Look at that. It came raining down. Finally, Paul Moyer, 21, makes the tackle. What would have been a very big defensive play for Seattle, but someone in the center of that defense seemed to jump offside. Rookie Wes Dove, number 64. Yep.
Chuck Knox teams do not usually beat themselves. That's a trademark of the teams he's put together in Los Angeles and Buffalo and Seattle.
Still 3rd down.
There's the rookie, number 64, Dove. Just trying a little too hard. They're starting to use him in pass rushing situations. They feel he's going to help them. They desperately need depth in that defensive line. Late in the year, they've had real trouble. They've had to play those three big horses so often and so many plays that they just wear down.
Hasn't been a sack in the game. That would have been the first. Instead, it's 3rd and 2 for Elway. Vance Johnson. That catch would have put him over the 100-yard mark, and Elway at the other end just hopping up and down saying, ooh, I had it right where I wanted, and Johnson with all of his speed out in the open where he could have really turned it upfield.
Denver's high-tech offense, very quick pass. Elway knows that one should have been caught. Vance Johnson pounding his helmet all the way to the sideline.
It's the first time that Seattle defense has forced Denver into a punting situation. Mike Moran in to kick, another left-footed kicker. Seattle very good in blocking these, but not this time. Angle toward the Conklin corner, and a pretty good kick. Oh, he caught it beautifully. 3-yard line. Oh, is the mood positive in Denver?
Today's game is brought to you by Mazda, bringing performance and value together. That's the Mazda way. By Tandy Computers, because there is no better value, only at Radio Shack. And by the U.S. Army, a place to be all you can be.
Well, 275 no-shows today. 75,999 used their tickets, and happy they did. 27-5 in their last 32 home games, the Broncos. And Mike Moran's 37-yard punt places Seattle at its 3. From his own end zone, Mike Tice, the tight end, to the 16-yard line and a first down. Tony Lilly with a tackle, 13 yards on the play.
The Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks both enjoy a bigger than normal home field advantage, in part because of this very loud crowd. And Seattle, I think, probably the loudest stadium in the NFL. But this Denver crowd, they're almost like a college crowd. You see all the orange in this stand. These people are about as fanatic as any fans you can find anywhere in the country.
Wobbly pass intercepted by Mecklenburg at the 26. It appeared to be deflected at the line of scrimmage.
It's in situations like this that you really sense that crowd, too. They are intimidating as they just pump up their team when they're making good plays. Craig, you kind of sense the air going out of him. At the same time, I think the Denver defense finally starting to feed off the energy of this crowd. Watch Mecklenburg, number 77, middle of your screen. That ball tapped right there.
Walt
Boyer, 65, and right into the hands of Mecklenburg, the second deflected interception of the day.
There's the difference in height. Boyer able to reach that hand up, and Craig couldn't get it through him. From the 27, Winder. Knocked out of bounds by Robinson and Jenkins.
And Bosworth. No, Greg Gaines at the bottom.
Last season, least times the ball turned over.
That was Bosworth there.
Today, Seattle a -2, and that's a statistic that Dan Reeves, all coaches do. I mean, the difference in sack differential, and there have been no sacks today, so nothing to report there, and turnover differential is one that Reeves keeps meticulously. He really feels that's the key to ultimately winning or losing the big games, and he's a +2 today, and he leads on the scoreboard 34-17. 2nd and 4. Same play. And it was Greg Gaines up late that came up and made the tackle. Yes, Gaines 56.
Dick, just to amplify on those home field advantage statistics, last year both of these teams were 7-1 at home. And in a very tough game here, see that the Hawks allowed the fewest points in the AFC on the average last year, but that stat breaks down into almost 3 seasons for them. They had a great beginning, a great finish, and a very lumpy middle of the season.
When you allow 34 points, you're not going to beat too many teams. Elway looking for more on third down. The draw. Inside the 20. Won't be quite enough. He picked up about 6. It'll be 4th and a yard and a half. Out comes the field goal unit.
I'm not so sure I agree with that kind of call. That puts Elway at risk. And with that kind of lead on the board, I'm not so sure that that's a good risk to take.
Yeah, I would think, Merlin, here's a case where Seattle really come after this kick. They have nothing really to lose, and maybe a big play could give them a chance at a turnaround.
They can get their hands on it, maybe bounce it around. I've seen touchdowns come out of blocked field goals.
35 yards the attempt.
Not this time.
Carlos is 3 for 3 today. 3 more for the Broncos. They lead by 20. News there is that they're talking.
That needs to be a lot of talking. I don't know how you can settle something like free agency or even a modified free agency without time to spend at the table.
Rich Carlos, perfect 3 for 3 in field goals. Will kick it off, and in this direction, no one has really had a chance to return.
Carlos has been kicking deeper this year by far than ever before.
This one is short. Brandon Moore at the 6. Rick Dennison, 55, one of those downfield. With Bruce Klosterman, a rookie linebacker. Now you see on the scoreboard how Denver, once down 17-7, has taken control. And suddenly Seattle, although they have moved the ball well, just the mistake, the interception, the fumble.
Well, you're never as good as or as bad as a score like that, and I'm sure Seattle will find a lot of things to be unhappy about in this game, but they will find a lot of things to take courage at looking at. They've done some very good things in this game.
8 minutes plus remaining. Craig to Larson, and he's out of bounds at the 37-yard line with his 4th catch of the day.
I don't think either team is going to be terribly pleased with their defensive performance. I mentioned earlier that both Tom Catlin and Joe Collier have made changes in their defenses. They're playing a little close to the vest today. There's Collier on the Denver sideline. But neither defense has really been dominant, and these two teams have been typified in many of their games and through the years by their defensive character and the strength of those defenses.
Lineup for next week, we'll give you another look at it. We're about to run this play. We'll be up in Seattle as Kansas City, a winner today, takes on the Seahawks. 17 yards on that last play. Craig and through the fingertips of Darrell Turner.
Darrell Turner makes the big catch very often for you. He certainly has a high percentage of touchdowns, but he will also drop the easy ones.
Steelers and Browns renew that great rivalry. The Dolphins, Indianapolis, both losers today. Houston with the upset. Today we'll go to Buffalo. Denver plays in Green Bay. And the one late game next week will be Kansas City at Seattle. It all starts at 12:30 Eastern Time with NFL Live.
I'm anxious to see Okoye.
Yeah.
For that size and speed, he's going to be something.
2nd and 10. Craig down the middle. Intercepted by Harden. 40, 50. Out of bounds at the 36-yard line. Mike Harden. Mecklenburg threw a big block for him.
Fans of these Denver Broncos are asking, how can you say we don't dominate defensively when we intercept the football like that? Hard to argue with.
An affinity for the interception and the touchdown. Didn't quite take that one back, but over 30 yards on the return. The end of last year, the last game up in Seattle, was 41-16 Seahawks. Denver came into this game with that fresh in their memory bank.
They certainly did. Dan Reeves showed them that film. They were embarrassed by it. They responded very well today. And I think the most important performance by John Elway. He's just been Outstanding out here today.
Looking for more. Underneath he goes to Clarence Kay, tackled immediately by Tony Woods. Woods, 57, the #1 draft pick out of Pittsburgh, a 4-year starter and an All-American with the Panthers. Let's check on Green Bay and the Raiders. And the Raiders have built a 20-0 lead, apparently Los Angeles. And that defense, you know, you talk about the demise of the Raiders, a lot of the prophets, but you can't overlook the fact they still play big defense and one of the better teams in the NFL in that regard. The Irwindale Raiders.
That's closer to my house.
Yeah, that's you used to play in those gravel pits.
Hey, I get out of those pits without any problem.
Elway on 2nd and 7. Draw the line. Or wider rather. And he's to the 26-yard line. Right through second base. Joe Nash made the tackle. It'll be shy of the first down, it would appear, from this angle by about a half yard.
One of the things that Denver has done today is to run the ball effectively. There were, 3 games last year when Elway was the leading rusher on this team. And you can't put that kind of pressure on Elway, and I'm sure that that's one of the reasons that Reeves has tried to feature that running attack, and they've done very well with it today.
Elway, who signed a big new extension of his contract this week. 3rd and short. And a first down for Lang to the 20. You want your son to be a dentist, a doctor, or a quarterback?
I think you know the answer to that question. $2 million of that signing bonus are deferred to 1994 and 1995, but those are still mighty healthy figures. And Pat Bowlen, the owner here in Denver, said, look, I got the best quarterback in football. I want him to be paid, I want him to be happy, and I want him to finish his career here.
And Elway said, I'm happy.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
First down at the 20. Through the middle lane, and the fans are chanting, I believe, Bosworth.
They're chanting for the Boz, yeah.
Well, speaking of the Boz, since we're into economics here in the 4th quarter, he has a 10-year deal worth $11 million. Well,
he starts out kind of lumpy next to Elway, but he finishes pretty good.
Well, that's good enough. And you know, that's another word that goes into my dictionary of good words: signing bonus. That's in the good word dictionary, along with retroactive and residual. Listen, Bosworth. Aimed at number 55, Bosworth, who's had a quiet second half.
He says he likes to be taunted. Let's see how he responds.
2nd and 8. Sammy Winder. Joe Nash trying to make the tackle. Appears that he is injured. Now he's going to make it up.
Certainly no shortage of blockers as they put 2 of them on them. Well, that's something to think about. Do you think these guys want to walk out? That's what it would cost Bosworth to miss a game, and Elway to miss a single game.
Can you imagine that? Those 2 contracts alone would be the economy of some small nations of the world. 62,000 for a game, and you're unhappy?
Well, 62,000. I think it took me about 8 years in the NFL to get, so I made that in a whole year.
4:11 left, and Seattle has called time.
We saw the comment by Keith Bishop. Plays guard for Denver Broncos. He said, John, got all that money, huh? He said, I suppose now we're going to find a new Corvette in each of our driveways. And John responded, Elway responded by saying, well, I don't know about that, but he said, I guess I better buy him a nice Christmas present.
There's the comment of Dan Reeves on Bosworth. Well, he'll be a challenge because not of his play, but his verbal interaction with the press. But they certainly love him up in Seattle, and he's created even more interest in a city already deeply in love with their Seahawks. Let's look at all the scores today. The battle, that's always a terrific rivalry, and New England and the rain wins are so important, as they say, to win that first game, because then you've got to win 2 more just to get ahead. And those that have won today celebrate, and those who lose have to dig it out. Jets a winner at Buffalo. Boy, how many times they've played field goal games the last few years. Washington, despite all the injuries, prevails at Philadelphia against Philadelphia. New Orleans They rarely win on opening day, so the Saints have to be happy. Dallas, Gene Stallings, former Cowboy assistant, records a win on opening day. Kansas City with Okoye, the fullback, the giant fullback, and Palmer, the other rookie, contributing, beating San Diego. Huge upset. Houston at home knocks off the Rams. Cincinnati, one of the favorites in the AFC Central, a winner. And here Denver's beating Seattle with 4:11 left, and the Broncos trying to add to a 34-17 lead. Ooh, Lang cracked right at the line of scrimmage. Jacob Green and Wes Dove in on that tackle.
Brian Bosworth right in the middle of that stack.
It's an evening of season premieres tonight on NBC. We hope you'll stay with us. Beginning a special two-part Our House, then find out what makes Alex tick on a one-hour Family Ties. Then from the creator of Miami Vice, it's the two-hour movie premiere, Private Eye. That's tonight. Big lineup on NBC. Carlos, who is 3 for 3, will attempt a 29-yard field goal. Rusty Tillman, the special teams coach. Perhaps they had a block on and nothing developed, and Tillman not too happy at all. It's 37-40 now, 17. Well, Elway with 4 touchdown passes and Carlos 4 for 4 field goal kicking.
Well, John Elway and his Bronco teammates had a chance to look at a film which rather embarrassed them to prepare for this one. I think when this action transfers to Seahawks country, that this film will be #1 on the agenda with Chuck Knox.
We didn't get through all the scores. Tampa Bay, the caretaker, Vinny Testaverde's caretaker, Steve DeBerg, threw 5 touchdowns.
Well, DeBerg was here when Elway arrived.
That's right.
Had to carry some of the load for John as John was thrust into the game. Couldn't really handle the responsibility early. DeBerg came in, took over for him, let him watch a few games. And, of course, John finally was able to step in and begin to grow into the masterful quarterback he is today. But DeBerg's story has to be one of the most interesting in all of football.
You saw the Vikings winning. Boy, they can score points. They've got a high-powered offense.
And a chance to push Chicago as Chicago can't straighten out its quarterback.
That'll be a game tomorrow night.
Ooh,
The Giants and the Bears.
What a way to start.
Carlos sends this one toward Colorado Springs. Or is that the wrong direction? I guess that's Boulder. That's toward Boulder.
Somewhere out there.
Hard to believe, Merlin, that even a month from now we might even see snow in the mountains and nearby.
Certainly might. One of the reasons that there was concern here in Denver was the retirement of some very strong players. The first 4 men on that list, starters for many years defensively. Jackson, the emotional, spiritual leader of this team. Reuben Carter, Louis Wright, still, if he were here today, would be the starting cornerback.
That's right.
Steve Foley and Paul Howard, the offensive guard who announced his retirement yesterday. Those are hard people to replace.
Hoping to get a cosmetic touchdown here with 4 minutes to go. It's going to be incomplete. And no flag. Paul Scansey, a look-alike in terms of physique to his star wide receiver teammate Steve Largent. Simon Fletcher, 73. They say Fletcher, who has been moved from a defensive lineman to a linebacker. Chuck Knox yesterday said if you had a 20-yard run, catching men in the middle of a 20-yard run, Fletcher would be the fastest Bronco. I don't believe. Can you have faster than Vance Johnson?
They've actually timed him in that way. They call it a flying 20, and he's beaten Vance Johnson not once but several times in the flying 20. Look out.
You don't want to be hit by that man with a running start. 2nd and 10. You saw the time remaining, a little over 3 minutes. There he is. It's not a fumble. The whistle dead, and Craig is hurt. Michael Brooks, a highly sought linebacker out of LSU, a 3rd-round pick, but he would have been a #1 except for a terrible knee injury his senior year. They likened him to Cornelius Bennett and Brian Bosworth. Brooks with a sack.
First sack of the day, a stunt with Brooks and Simon Fletcher inside.
Boy, is he strong. He just
Explosive.
2 men tried to block him.
Well, listen day started very happily for Dave Craig with a couple of touchdowns. Maybe Denver listened to me talking about the fact that their defense wasn't dominating. Turned it on here in the final part of this ball game.
Third down. And a bunch. 26. Whoops. Craig finds the handle. Throws incomplete and right into 3 orange jerseys. Steve Largent well covered. Rick Dennison might attempt it.
Dick, one of the concerns here, and it relates to that panel on retirements, was for the leadership of this defensive team. I think you're seeing some of that leadership starting to emerge from these players who are stepping into those playing roles. And these fans appreciate it.
But are they having fun?
By golly, they are today.
Well, it's the same way around the NFL, the winning team, and we've seen the same scene under the dome in Seattle. Natil might have a chance to return one, and he is dangerous. Stands inside the 50. Rodriguez sends out a good kick. And Natil, a 13-yard return. 50 yards on the punt. 2:25 left, and Gary Kubiak will replace John Elway at quarterback for Denver. Kubiak, who has done a solid job whenever called upon an Elway injury. He was picked in 1983, same year that Elway was the #1 selection of the Colts. He came around in the 8th round, 196 picks later. His career percentage, 58%. Last year, limited duty, 60%. He's in there just a hand off. Ken Bell, second-year man from Boston College, couple of yards.
I gotta believe it's a good choice. You've got that great lead. Why take a chance of getting Elway hurt? You also need to make sure that Kubiak is sharp. Always a possibility of having a quarterback go down. Well, this certainly doesn't start the Seattle season the way they had it planned. They're picked by many to end up this season in the Super Bowl. They're going to have to play a lot better than they did today if that's going to come true for them.
2-minute timeout. Paying his first residuals, no surprise there. Most Valuable Player Award sponsored by Budweiser. Today's MVP, John Elway, Denver Broncos. Budweiser will make a contribution to the United Way on behalf of all the MVP selected throughout the games in the NFL today. Elway 22 for 32, 338 yards, 4 touchdowns. 1 intercept was on a deflection. Leading 40-17. Broncos just running out the clock. Kubiak handing off the Bell right into the center of the defense to the 33-yard line. One of the things we'll do throughout the course of the year on NBC is a report card, key players on offense. Elway, you can see, he'll get an A or an A+ for his effort today. Winder, 79 yards off the bench for the injured Gerald Wilhite. Big tight end Mobley, a touchdown and 5 catches, 52 yards, and Carlos Perfect. Pretty good students there. We'll check Seattle after this play.
Grading the defense, the grades in the second half of this game, and particularly in the fourth quarter, have suddenly gotten very good. Not so good in the early part of this game.
Well, they've shut out Seattle the last 40 minutes of this game. Kubiak handing off the line to the 30-yard line, shy of the first down. Here's the Seattle card. For those of you who joined late, kind of gives you an idea of how their key players went. Craig started very well, but then under pressure, having to catch up. 3 interceptions, 50% of his passes. Warner, injured, started off brilliantly. He had 80+ yards in his first 8 carries in the first half. Largent, solid again, 4 catches, 73 yards, and a touchdown. Bosworth, 7 tackles. That's unofficial.
Not a bad day for the Boss. He's been heard from.
Patrick Boland, the owner of the Broncos, great athlete himself, a triathlete. 4th down and inches. Another first down. Lang to the 25. And now the Broncos can just watch the final seconds tick away as the fans here in Denver celebrate an opening win, 40-17.
One thing we should say as we watch the Seahawks head for their locker room, that man knows how to put a team back together. I bet we see a different Seattle team next week against Kansas City.
Up in the Kingdom, you see Chuck Knox saying good job to Dan Reeves. They have a lot of respect for one another. The AFC champions of a year ago, the Denver Broncos, start slowly, down 17-7. But John Elway's 4 touchdown passes, and he commiserates with Dave Craig, lead the Broncos to a very impressive win today. We'll be right back. Argue 40-17, a Denver win.
Dan Reeves has used that loss to the Giants in the Super Bowl as a springboard for this season. He said, remember how it hurt to lose that game. Today, they started a long march back toward another Super Bowl. Our congratulations to John Elway and his teammates. They earned a big victory today.
Very impressively, the Broncos, after Seattle had built the early 17-7 lead. Larry Cirillo, our producer, Ted Nathanson, our director. Our thanks to Joe Costanza, Messrs. Friedman, Cohn, and Dodge in our booth. And stay tuned, NBC tonight.
Pulling it away from the defenders.